Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is Monday, June 28th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am live. Wonderful to see everybody. Come on in, whether you're coming in for adult coloring or coming in for companionship, either way, or both. We love you. Good to see everybody. So welcome to all my Facebook buds who chat in the room, and welcome to all my lurkers who watch but don't say anything. We'd love you to come down and chat. And also welcome to all my YouTube viewers. All right, Rhonda. Rhonda, hello. Mary, hello. Give me a sound check. Rhonda, okay, your text. Hold on. ILene, can you see my TX text, I assume? Yeah, I can see everybody. We're good. Okay, Rhonda says 6 and clear. Thank you. Okay. So, no announcements for contests at the time. No general announcements right now. Rita, hello Rita. Hi Rita, how are you? Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom out. There we go. All right, guys. We got projects. We got lots of things. All right, so I'm working on colormorphia. Okay, Rita says she's doing good. Good. And I'm going to have a little fun with this book, which is the Vintage Classic Coloring Pages by Tatiana Stolova. Beautiful little book. I've already paged through it, but there are some things that I want to show you. Beautiful, beautiful little book. So Rita, how are things in Santa Fe, New Mexico? And I want to show you guys, this is the piece that I'm working on, which is my stained glass piece. I've been promising you a quickie coloring tutorial. And I wanted to show you that I've put some of that glass goop on there. See that? See the shine? And the little ripples in there. That is so cool. So I'm working on this while I upload video. Zoom in. And I wanted to show you, I penned in a little bit of this butterfly. Oh, it's raining, good. And I penned in some black on this butterfly as well. Zoom out. Zoom out. So I wanted to show that to you guys. Look at that sheen, I love it. Just absolutely love it. And if you goop the stuff on thick enough, you can make little swirlies with this. So that's the neat part. Okay. Rhonda, did you get your TV hooked up? All right, so I picked up the Slice Precision Cutter. I have never used this before. I thought I would go ahead and unbox it in front of you and use it in front of you. I am brave. So we'll see how that works out. All right, now if I can just get it open here. There we go. Okay, I sent you a text how to hook that up, sweetie. All you have to do is plug in your HDMI cord in the back of your TV set. Okay. So this is the Precision Cutter. It is in our affiliate list if you decide that you like it. Let me put the cap on before I do something stupid. There we go. Rhonda, seriously, just plug your HDMI cord in the back of your TV. It looks like, here, look. See? And all you have to do is plug that puppy in there. And then plug it into your adapter that you bought. And plug it into your iPad or your iPhone. Remember that adapter? So that plugs into this. And then this plugs into your phone. Okay? Alright, so here's what I want to show you guys. Welcome to everybody that's falling in the door. Sorry for the glare. So I got this Precision Cutter and I just unboxed it because I want to show you a couple things. And then I'm probably going to do a coloring. Good grief, let's change that. I'll be doing a coloring, I'll start a coloring out of this. So we can have lots of fun with that. Alright, let me put this off to the side. Zoom in. So this is what I want to show you. I'm going to take my Precision Cutter and I'm going to add some scales to this part here. Now, I've not used this before. So we'll see how this puppy works. Alright. So here's the technique that I want to show you. Zoom in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to etch in some scales. Zoom in. You should be able to see, just barely see those little lines here that I'm putting on here. Okay. And then I'm going to put in this last set. Hold on, I'll show you momentarily. It's a precision cutter ceramic blade by the company is named Slice, of all things. Zoom out. Hi, Melba. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Well, Rhonda, that's what I'm experimenting with. Some people feel a little uncomfortable. This, I feel, gives me more control. And my X-Acto knife was getting pretty old. And what I did is I purchased the cutter, and then I got 4 replacement blades. So I think this is pretty cool. All right. Melba, front and center, how's your daughter doing? And the difference with this is this has a ceramic blade versus a metal blade. So it'll never rust. Seems to be pretty cool. Okay, so I put my slices in the, hey Maddie, in the part of the dragon here that I wanted to show you. Still in the hospital. They thought it was her gallbladder, but it wasn't. Oh my. Oh, Melba. Do they have any indication at all what the heck is going on? Hey, Maddie. Please pray that God give her doctor some brains. Well, I'm not exactly sure it's a brain issue per se. You know, when you go in to see a doctor and you give them the symptoms, yeah, they're still running tests. Okay, so I have cut my lines in with this cutter. Zoom in. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay in my base color. Zoom in. And what I want you to see now is everywhere that I cut in a line, the marker goes in and it darkens. Oops. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And that's right, Mary. Usually it's the most common things is what they think of first. You know, when you go to a doctor, you present a puzzle. All you can really do... Now notice how I am tinting this to make it a little darker. Shading it. Melba's going to smack me through the screen. And everywhere I put a cut in that paper, this marker goes into it and makes that line. And then I'm going ahead and tinting that, shading it. Zoom out. Look how cool that looks, guys. Zoom out. Zoom out. So this is a little mini tutorial for you. All right, now if you decide after the fact, zoom in, that you want to add more lines, then take your cutter and put them in. Now, the only problem with this, doing it this way, zoom in, is when we go in to darken that line, we're going to be darkening the coloring with the marker. So it is best that you have your pattern figured out first. Everybody see how these secondary lines are coming in now? And try to remember where you put them. Oh man, yeah. Everybody see that? Okay. So this is the neat effect that you can do now. With a knife. Now, I'm taking a little bit of red, my red marker. Good grief, that looks like blood. No, I did not cut my finger. And I'm going to go ahead and start shading and emphasizing these lines. And this is where you can do your little smudging, because we're using alcohol based. But I want you to see now how definitive that line is. Isn't that cool? So what do you guys think? Now, obviously this is going to look wonky because nothing else on the dragon is done. So I want you to concentrate on the technique, and right now, not on the looks of this particular project, because like I said, I haven't colored anything else, so it looks weird. Zoom out. Zoom out. Boy, that looks funny. And then this is where, if you're going to make a red dragon, for example, so I'm putting in the marker and I'm smudging it, and then I can go around and darken my areas. Kind of like our stained glass windows, right? Zoom in. Zoom in. So the main thing is I wanted to show you that knife. And that's why I unpackaged it in front of you. Okay, and notice now that I'm going in with my marker on some of these scales and shading them in for dimension, okay? This reminds me of Inky and the Inky, no, what is that? The butterfly? Somebody help me here. Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. There we go, I got it. Where she met the dragons. Anybody have any questions about what I'm doing? Now, if you wanted to do etch marks on these scales, you could do that as well. Zoom out. Zoom out. So there you go. Now, by no means am I finished with this. It looks weird. But I wanted to show you how I added these etched lines on here with my knife. Zoom in. So I would be doing, you know, my coloring and my shading and whatever else. Melba, you still with us? So how long is it? The doctors have no idea how long your daughter's going to be in the hospital then, right? Oh. Okay. I think that's pretty cool. Now, one thing I want to show you with this knife too while I'm at it. Here are the footies. And let's say that you wanted to work a pattern. And this is where I'll get in trouble because I got red on my finger, and you know I'll blotch that on something. Yeah, see, I already did it. Crikey. So another idea that I want to show you with etching. Zoom in. So let's say that you have a footy like this. You could add little squiggly lines. That all come into one spot here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my red on here so you can see this. Everybody see that? So I want you to think about things like this with your etching, whether you have an X-Acto knife or not. Play, right? Zoom in. And I'm putting pink on just to show you this in a little more detail. Zoom out. Zoom out. So there are some ideas for you. Think about what I'm showing you here. Questions? I'm not coloring this page. I'm just using it as a sample. Now, I wanted to show you something. This knife looks very similar to my markers. So I can really see losing this very quickly within my markers. I will replay to see your knife unraveling. Okay. So what I like to do, and this is just an aside actually, is I'll mark it with something. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and put a black band on this. And that way I can keep track of this little puppy. You didn't miss much, Maddie. I just opened it up out of the package. Now, if you ever mark something like this, a tool that you're handling, put some tape on it and cover it, because if you don't, your hand oils will eventually wear it off. So there's an idea for somebody. And what I'll do is I'll put two or a couple more loopy marks on here, and that way I'll be able to tell the difference, because I know me and you know you. No charge for that advice. Okay guys, so this is the precision cutter, item number 10416. It is in our affiliate list if you want to jump on the bandwagon and pick it up. And I went ahead and I got the refills, which is 10418. And it specifically says that this is the refill for this. So I expect it to last a long time. No oil coating, chemically inert, pointed tip, non-conductive, non-sparking. Okay. So there you go. I hope that helps somebody. Zoom out. Zoom out. It's really taking a lot of restraint on my end to not continue with this. Oh my. And it's funny, guys. This little puppy here is a pen that I use with my iPad, because I got a Procreate, and I used my alcohol markers to put wonky marks on it so that I can distinguish it. So that's what I do with my stuff, so I can tell the difference when I have things like that. Okay, so I'm going to set this to the side. And get into the colormorphia. I'm really surprised how much you guys are enjoying this. I'm getting some more texts from you guys that you really like this project. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Let's get this shine off of here. Whoop, that doesn't do it. All right. So last night I put gears within gears. I put stuck some more metal gears on here just for fun. The cat, I did punk on this side, pretty clear on this side, just because. All right. So let's go ahead and get going on this. Let me see what I want to do for you. I am so tired today. I went to Sam's and I went to Walmart because I had to do a lot of shopping. Zoom in. I hate going out. It's not one of my favorite things to do. I'm basically a homebody. Okay, so let me go ahead and put my light gray. On my tubing here. Zoom in. Oh, you ran your sister around tired also, but happy to be here, says Maddie. Yeah, it really takes a lot out of you, doesn't it? And who in this room last night was talking about peach salsa? Because I bought some. Okay, so here's my initial color, and we'll go ahead and shade this up. Now, if you're following me, you don't, you know, again, you don't have to do the exact same thing. Totally up to you. Yeah, 93 degrees and humid. Rita, how is the temperature in Santa Fe? Okay, so let me put a little edging on here. How hot is it in Tennessee? It is currently 82. 82 and sunny. The high was 88. The low was 70. I love my iWatch. Now, sometimes what I like to do, Helen, what's the temperature in Fahrenheit in Great Britain? We're cooking. A little bit of green on here to enhance that silver. 80s and 90s. Oh, and this is a person from Guatemala who temperatures doesn't bug her in the least. What a silly question on my part. Now, I'm deliberately making this look a little dirty. 79 and raining in Wyoming, says Ashley. And honestly, nothing personal, but I don't want to hear anybody complaining about rain because our western states are drying up and cooking. Okay, see how I'm making this look kind of scruffy and dirty? Maddie says the temperature affects this northern gal. Yep. Maddie says she loves the Tetons. Yeah, Ashley, no, we need it fire season. Already have fire bans here. Yeah, I saw that too. Rita said that there was no sun today. She was cold at times. Probably wouldn't bother anybody else. Wouldn't have bothered me. Everybody see how I'm making this look scruffy? And by adding this green and gray, Mary says 90 and humid. Rita says fire season. Ashley says, yep, I'm a couple hours away from Jackson Hole, surrounded by mountains. Gorgeous. I was out there years ago for my honeymoon. Now, I do want to say something about steampunk. You don't have to make it look scruffy. You can just color it up and make it metallic. But I'm going in for scruffy. Zoom in. Now, if I ever get too close for somebody, let me know. I'm not a mind reader, and I certainly can't tell. Over the broadcast. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with you. That song came up because Ash said she's surrounded by mountains. Okay, now don't get too scruffy, because at some point in time you'll get mushy. Does that make sense? And don't forget that you can always take your black pen. Is this a good view for everybody? And you can go ahead and shade in underneath. You've seen me do this with Kerby's. I would love for you guys to get comfortable, especially with Kerby stuff, to taking a black pen to it. Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see how this black really enhances this stuff? And if you want to, zoom in, zoom in. You can go ahead and shade by your gears. Be sure you follow the rough outline of the object so we know what you're looking at here. Here we go. 64 in Santa Fe. Guys, quit being afraid of your stuff. I politely say this, knock it off. All right, see how I'm putting a little shading around the rivet? Zoom in. See that? Zoom out. I'm going to start calling this ILene's Tough Love coloring. Okay. So let me pop up to whatever this little puppy is. Am I driving you nuts, Ashley, while you're following along on this? I love your piece, by the way. Nice job. Zoom out. Did you guys see Ashley's post with this piece? Okay. Now, I'm not saying to do this to every single piece. You know, I'll tell you about doing something and then I'll say, but don't get stupid about it, right? So when I add doodads, yeah, the green, I love that green on it. That green looks so cool. Okay, now Ashley, tell me honestly. So she says, thank you, I wouldn't have touched it without following this. Okay. So now that you're following this, how do you feel about doing Kerby Rosanes stuff? Are you still intimidated? Zoom in. Okay, see this gray right here? Silver gray. And then I'm going to take my dark and I'm going to put a little dash line on it just to make it scruffy. See that? Now I'm going to put some gray on here, but I'm also going to, Kerby's not so bad, steampunk is growing on you slowly. Okay. Well, like I said, it's not what I'm coloring you guys should be interested in, but how. Zoom out. Okay, now a lot of this stuff around the hat, we don't want it to distract from the whole piece. Oh, so what you're saying, Ashley, is that you wouldn't have touched it because it was steampunk, right? I gotcha. So it's the steampunk that you were saying you wouldn't have touched it. Zoom in. Well, okay, so I'm going to put some gold in here. Now, I know that it gets a little annoying having to deal with all these little extra pieces that Kerby puts in. But it's well worth it, because this is what makes the piece, is the detail. All right, so I'm going to put a little red in here. This will make sense in a minute. And then I'm going to put some brown in here. So what am I making now? What does this remind you of? And it starts with the letter R. I am in a mood tonight, I will tell you. But learning techniques and how to spice it up helps, yes. That's why I want you guys to periodically pick a piece that you normally wouldn't color, a subject matter, and color it. What does this remind you of here? The gold, the brown, and the red? I'm giving you a hint. Starts with R. Rust. There you go. And then I'm going to throw in a little dark gray. Zoom in. Now don't just say rust because I'm leading you towards that answer. If it doesn't remind you of rust, then I'm screwing up. Not too shabby. Red, brown, and black. And then smush it with your finger. All right. Now, I will say again that everything you're coloring is contextual. And what that means is that when I'm coloring something like that, because this is steampunk, people are more likely to see it as rust on your piece. So keep that in mind. So if you don't feel that you're good at coloring something, there are times you can get away with it because of what your coloring suggests. Now, I don't recommend that you do that all the time. You should only do it if your skill level isn't quite there. But it's up to you to up your skill level, right? Did all that just make sense? You're already suggesting to the viewer that this is a steampunkish, rusty, dirty piece. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a little highlight down the center, zoom out, there you go. Questions, comments? Now close up, it looks wonky. Trust me, normal view, it looks really good. So I'm going to put a little gray and black on there. Gray and black together look wonderful. Zoom out. Zoom out. All right, let's get that rivet done. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. Light gray around the whole thing. Dark gray on the left to give it that dimension. And I'm just going to use a teeny tiny bit of black just to define it just a little bit. How cool is that? Done. Okay, top pieces. Two shades of silver. A little bit of black. Just a little bit of smearing. You guys get any quieter, I'm going to be hearing crickets. Zoom out. Zoom out. All right. Zoom out. Let's take an overall look at this puppy and my messy desk. Questions, comments so far? Okay. Zoom in. Zoom in. All right. Oh, no problem, Rhonda. You were painting and using glue. What are you painting, Rhonda? Oh, Sky, you're just finished. Oh, you just finished another Age of Elegance pick. Cool. Okay. Okay, now notice, glue for gems, I'll post tonight. Okay, now notice I'm using a lot of black outline. And I want you to notice how stark, I mean, look how cool that looks, guys. Please do not be afraid of your black, okay? Let me grab a little water. All right. So I'm going to leave that part for a second since I've got my black pen in hand. Now, if you ever need to outline something or define something, go ahead and color your accent pieces if that helps you. Zoom in. Now, Kerby draws weird things. And sometimes you just need to go in and color some areas just to get your bearing as to what the heck is going on. So for example, if you need to come into something like this and color all the rivets to get your bearing, have at it. So for example, in this piece right here, right where I am now, this is helping me define what the heck I'm looking at. There we go. Zoom out. There's a little 5 card in there. Did you guys see this? The 5 of diamonds? You sly dog. All right. Zoom in. Well, Rhonda, I'm glad that piece of advice helped you. Yeah, your instinct is to start off in the larger pieces. Oh, that is getting weird. Hold on. Zoom out. Zoom out. Start on whatever helps you define your piece. Now, this area where the skull is looked a little jumbled to me, but now that I've gone ahead and shaded some of these, works out a lot better. Zoom out. Zoom out. And see how that makes a lot more sense now. Okay. Now, we've got a lot of fine lines on this windmill type thingy, whatever that is. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of my colored pens. Zoom in. Zoom in. So let's go ahead and play with this scroll pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and use 2 shades of blue. Zoom in. Let me know, everybody, if that's too close. So all I'm doing right now is I am alternating my shades of blue on this piece. And the reason that I'm using pen is because you can use pencil. My other choice would be marker, but pen gives instant control and placement. Everybody see that? And then I'm going to go ahead and work down this post. Same type of thing. Zoom out. There you go. Isn't that cool? Rhonda, is the broadcast still okay for you? And can you still hear me okay? Okay. All of a sudden we had a drop in attendance, and usually that means it's about to quit. Okay. Zoom out. Zoom out. Doesn't it look really cool? Now another idea for using on this is metallic pen. That would look really cool. Zoom in. Zoom in. Hey, Wanda. Zoom out. Zoom out. All right, everybody see how beautifully this is coming together. Facebook is being kind of weird, Wanda. I had a bunch of people, then it went down to like 2, and it's weird. Hey, Kathy. All right. Zoom in. Zoom in. Okay, now again, I'm concentrating on my grays, blues, and golds. On the outside pieces. Now, if you want to play around with the buttons and stuff, just because, remember we've got a red eye, we've got a red feather, so I'm going to go ahead and balance this a little bit and pop in a little bit of pink. So Wanda, tell me something fun that's been happening with you. So I'll go ahead and shade that in my backwards C configuration. So we've got some depth on this. You're mad at work again? Oh my gosh, what happened? Owner's daughter? A little bit of green on the gray, and then I will cover it back up again with my gray. What'd she do this time? Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of gray into here. Honestly, I don't know what this is, if it's supposed to be a metallic piece or not. But I'm going to go ahead and treat it as such. Now, what I'm going to do, in about 15 minutes, I'm going to pop over to my next project. I think you guys have a good idea on what I'm doing. I'll do the center portion, and unless that there's been a compelling reason for me to continue with this tomorrow night, let me know. Because now we're down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, skull. Sounds like a tooth drill, yeah. Wanda, what happened at work? What'd she do? Okay, skull. I'm going to go ahead with a pinkish color. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's got to be different from everything else. So Wanda, she didn't do anything particular, you're just mad at her? I'm sorry, I accidentally slid off camera, guys. My bad. Now the teeth, I'll go ahead and basically leave untouched. I've got to do my other rivet here, which will be my light gray. And then my dark highlight to the left. All right, now over this pink, I'm going to take a brownish color. Because right now with this skull color, that thing is sticking out like a sore thumb. So we need to punk it up a little bit. And dull down that pink. Now notice I put a heavy mark right here. See how I'm curving that around? Don't be afraid to add your little extra flair, guys. Everybody see how I'm doing that? And I'm going to curve this around as well. And the more that I darken up the skull, the more that the teeth are going to show. So that makes it look kind of cool. Now, I'm not a fan of skulls. Zoom out. Zoom out. But we'll go ahead and color it this way. Okay. Couple more minutes, I'm going to switch projects. Anybody have any questions? Zoom in. Zoom in. What's that, Rhonda, that we have in common? Oh, not liking the skulls? Yeah. Okay. A little bit of shadow on here. A-K-U-L-L-S. Yeah, I saw that. I think I'm hearing thunder. And Gina, if you're watching, hello. I'm going to sneeze again. Zoom out. Excuse me. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, anybody have any questions so far, comments? Yeah, Maddie says she's not fond of skulls either. Yeah, I don't do sugar skulls. I just don't. They're a representation, basically, of evil. So, that's not my cup of tea. For anybody that likes them, knock yourselves out. But for me personally, just not my cup of tea. Yeah, reminder reminder of death. Okay, what do you guys think? You like it? Are we at a point where I can stop and just finish up the little doodads on my own, or what do you want me to do? I really don't have too much more to do. I've got this little masky thing, little screw there, just these little doodads here. Yeah, kitchen witches are okay. Sure. You okay with me finishing these little doodads on my own? I've done the majority of the project for you. And yes, I've got a red splotch to clean up. Oh, Patty wants me to move on. Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with doing this and that you're now confident that you could do one like this on your own. All right, let me grab some water. Oh, one thing I do want to do real quick though, zoom in, zoom in. I want to go ahead and darken up this inner ring on the eye. To give it some depth. Zoom out. So that was the only thing really that I wanted to do. Everybody see now how the eye is sinking into the socket? And we've got that depth now. So if you want to talk about Borg, this is Borg. Yowza. Much better. All right. Zoom out. Gonna go to a new project. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun doing it, and yes, I smudged. You would think I would know better by now. And I would hope that you would feel confident in doing something like this yourself. Any last questions or comments before I pop off of it? Would you color this by yourself now if you had the book? Do you feel confident? Yes or no? Okay. Going once, going twice. We're all set on this one then. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was my pleasure doing it for you. All right. Kerby Rosanes. New project. Kathy says she's getting there. Okay, this is the Vintage Classic Coloring Pages by Tatiana Stolova. I'm not sure how old this book is. I did flip through it when I got it in, but this is her latest book. So let's go ahead and have some fun with this. I think this is the cutest book, and they're all representations of the little fairy tales. So I went ahead and copied this over to cardstock and sprayed it with my Krylon Fixtiff. I'm not sure about some of these fairy tales. I don't know what they are, but they're cute. Isn't that horse beautiful? There's a good one to do fur on, if you want to do fur. You could make it like all gold. All right. Let's get coloring. New project. Zoom in. So obviously we've got Little Red Riding Hood. cute as a button page. So what I'm going to do is get my knife, zoom in, and here is a really good example. And by the way, Rhonda was asking about the difference between this and X-Acto knife. Rhonda, this particular knife, the way that the blade is positioned, it lets you literally use it like a pen. And be a lot more precise. And meticulous. So you can see how I'm making these cuts. Okay. And I think that you can see, well, I know that you can see the marks that I've made on the paper. Now, depending on what animal you're doing, of course, will determine how short you make your strokes and how close together. And what I'm liking so far about this knife is that I can really see where I've cut, and you can too. Now, don't forget to cut over your lines that are drawn in, which is something I would do. And be sure to get in your detail, for example, around the eye. Not sure what this is right here. I don't know if the author just got sloppy, that that's supposed to be the rest of the mouth and the teeth. Anybody have any questions so far about what I'm doing? There's something very satisfying about doing this. Okay, this is going to look really cool. All right, let me go ahead and catch this other ear. And before I leave this, zoom out, zoom out. I want to show you something on this tree. So, you know how I like to go through and make tree indentations? I want you to see that now, how that would look doing it with a knife. So instead of drawing it with a pencil, I'm going to go ahead and etch in my bark lines. Isn't that cool? Did you guys ever think about doing that? Zoom in. And what I want you to think about is applications like this. Oh, Maddie says her daughter just messaged her. She's staying at a beach house this week. It's going to be low to mid 90s. Okay. Kathy, you could use a pencil, but I want to show you this technique. Okay. So let me hit the second tree with this so that you can see it some more. And this is just another technique in your arsenal, guys, for coloring. All right. So I'm going to get a very light brown marker, water-based. As my base color for the tree. And then we'll go from there. All right. You're welcome, Miss Kathy. So now I'm going to take my marker . Now my marker is drying up a little bit, which is absolutely fine because I like what it's leaving behind. And what I want you to notice is where the marker is passing over my etch lines. Hold on, I may have to change color. Oh, that's way too dark. Where my marker is going over the lines, it's going into the etchings. Oh, Kathy, good. Kathy says, oh, now I get it. If your marker is starting to dry out, like mine was, the etchings will not pick up. So Kathy sees why I'm doing this now. So be sure that your markers are moist enough that that is going into the ridges and is creating that mark that you want on the tree. And when you etch, be sure that you get in between little things like your leaves so that it looks really cool. Doesn't that look neat? And sometimes what I like to do, Kathy, is just go back over my lines just to embed that color a little bit more. Conversely, if you want a lighter color in there, then you just go over it the once or twice. Even in these tiny little areas, guys, sweat the details, right? Zoom out. Well, that's good, calf. All right, now. I'm going to be working on a background tree. Don't go with too heavy of a marker, guys. Zoom in. Carolyn, hi. With the heat index, Memphis has been in the hundreds for almost 2 weeks. Wow. Hi, Carolyn. By the way, Carolyn, I bought the cutting tool that you recommended, the slice cutter. Zoom in. Now notice how those lines are have gotten darker. And that's because your marker is going into your crevices. So just like the fur, we're making tree marks. Oh, I love it already. Guys, isn't that absolutely beautiful? See, this is what I cut into the tree. Zoom out. Now our trees in the background are going to be a little darker. Zoom out. So that's why I went with this. Now remember, this is just my base color, right? You guys know for a fact by now that this is where... Oh, you bought the steampunk coloring book I had Saturday night. Okay, cool. Okay, now I'm going to play around with this fur. Zoom in. And I really want you to pay attention now to these lines, how they come up. Zoom in. Watch. See all these extra lines in here, guys? That's from the etching. No, further away is darker, because that's background. Closer is lighter, because you're closer to it. See these lines right here that's right next to this tree? Those are all etched in. Rhonda, you don't need to apologize. My gosh. Can you guys see? Where the gray is being picked up in the crevices that I etched into the paper. Isn't that drop dead gorgeous? Now, listen to me carefully. Notice around this eye that I'm taking some extra swipes. And that's darkening that eye area. See that? So not only do I have the fur indentations, but I can go ahead and darken in the eye and put in whatever pattern I want around it. Zoom out. Oh, Wanda, that's great. You got the rainbow color selector. See all these marks in here, guys? That's from my etching. Okay, I'm going to go a little darker around the nose, which means I'm going to repeat with my marker. Now, you got to be careful. Your first pass is your base color, and then when you go back, that's when you start shading. Oh, it dropped in price on Prime Day, so I grabbed it. That's what Wanda said. Cool. The coloring gods favored you. Wanda, did you see that pastel set that I wanted dropped in price? It was $70. And not only was it discounted for Prime Day, but they added an additional discount. I just happened to check it. zoom out. Oh, you better believe I ordered it. I showed it on camera the other day. 100 chalk colors. Okay, everybody see these fur marks in here, guys? That's what you get when you etch. Yep, he is looking a little scary, and that's the intention. Anybody have any questions about how I pumped up these fur marks? Kathy's going, wow. Stick with me, folks. You'll learn something new. Okay, zoom in. Zoom in. All right, now I'm going to take my marker and very judiciously, now see, I can do this with pencil as well. I'm going to shade in right next to the tree. So I'm just adding a blush of shade on there. And again, I can do this with this pencil. I've got marker in my hand. I'm doing it, and I'm using the very tip, because remember, you don't want any solid lines, right? Now, what I also want you to notice with marker is as you go over things repeatedly, especially with your grooves, we're going to get darkening, right? So this is where you can start to play with this. Now notice how I'm darkening right here under the eye and right around the muzzle. Everybody see how that's popping up at you now? And I'm going to do a little bit of that around the nose. Everybody see that? And the other thing that I want to show you, and guys, these are little subtle things that you can do, is I'm going to curl this up a little bit. Not much, but it makes kind of like a Simon Legree type thing. I want you to start thinking about little touches like this. Rhonda? And Wanda? See, you see how that's curling? And if you want to, you can go ahead and darken these tips a little bit. And notice here how I'm darkening this area here just to make a little bit of fold in the fur and depth. Zoom out. Do you guys see how intense that is? Now these trees look yucky because I've got my base colors on them, right? You know me by now. And again, you can do this with pencil. I just happen to be doing it with marker. So don't go flipping out on me because I'm using marker. Normally I would do this with pencil, but like I said, I was on a roll. I kept going with it. Okay. Now we can go ahead and add a little bit of gray tinting. To our wolf. Now he's gray already. It's on the somewhat greenish side, but that's fine. Zoom in. Zoom in. Oops, sorry. Zoom out. I agree with you, Wanda, that the wolf should have some brown in it. But the reason I didn't start with the brown is because of my trees. Now, the one thing you've got to be careful of, don't start too early on using pencil. Because your marker may still be wet. And what's going to happen is what's happening right now is I'm pulling up little pieces of paper right where I darkened that eye. So I'm a little ahead of the game here. So the brown's going to come in later on the wolf because I want that to dry. Zoom out. Questions, comments? Kathy's going nuts. Excuse my arm. Play, guys, play. Have fun. Okay. Bear with me while I pick up and proceed to drop my pencils. Zoom in. All right, so I'm going to go back to my tree now. And I'm going to start shading in. Because this goldish brown is way too bright. But I wanted it as a lighter color underneath. Zoom in. I know, don't you hate that, Wanda? Is erasing out color that you just put down? And this is where you're going to start defining more the features of your tree. Zoom out. Now here's where you can really play with your pencils, because right here where I've got this darker brown, this is where two of my etch lines happen to come together. Now, depending on the marker that you used is going to make a difference with how prominent your etch lines are. So you've got to be careful that you don't fill them in to the point that they disappear. But if they happen to disappear, not to worry. Just go ahead and shade them back in. And one of the neat things that you can also do is color perpendicular to your lines. And that's going to shove pencil into your etch lines and make them more prominent as well. Everybody see that? Zoom in. So it's going to look a little wonky and messy that I'm coloring perpendicular to these lines. But trust me, by the time you're done, it's going to look terrific. And do not wipe your page with your hand like I just did. Use your brush, especially in this warmer weather. You don't want your hand oils on your page. Now, if you're new to etching and you're not sure what your markers are going to do, get out some cardstock and practice. Zoom out. Okay, Kathy, be sure that you watch the portion that you missed. Now, notice when you color in with your darker shade like this, that moves this part of the tree up. And if you keep that in mind, you can make some really neat patterns on your trees. Forgive me for reaching. I'm looking for a couple of things here. Looking for love in all the wrong places. So I'm coming in with just a slightly darker brown. Zoom in. And I want you to see how that's giving you dimension on the tree. And I'm going to color in a little darker right here, same thing. Remember, blend it in. You don't want any harsh lines. That is a huge no-no in coloring. And notice now how this ridge is appearing up for our squirrel to climb on. Now, don't go all heebie-jeebie on me saying, oh my gosh, how do I color a tree? How do I color a tree? Trees are just like flowers. Because their bark differs, it's kind of hard to mess up a tree. I got a little ahead of myself because I didn't finish my brown here. Anybody at all have any questions about this? And don't forget, guys, every once in a while, see how I'm adding that little curve in here? Look how cool that looks. It comes down, goes back around. Zoom out. See how this is coming into play? And don't forget also, as Rhonda had asked, your lighter trees are towards the front, and your darker trees, which are receding into the background, are in the back. And I promise you, as you're doing these trees, you'll start to have a really good idea Yes, you would have the same effect with pencils, Kathy. So Kathy says she doesn't have markers, which she get the same effect. So what you would do, Kathy, is you would use a very light pencil as your base color. And then start filling in with your darker colors. Does that make sense, Kathy? Now, your etching may not show up as much, but again, experiment. If you have soft pencils like the Starjoy, it should look pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to tidy up here. You know, I like to do that. Now, dark gray or black. If you're new, I would suggest dark gray, because black can get a little out of hand for you. I want you to watch now how I am darkening these recesses. Zoom in. And I am barely, guys, I'm telling you, I'm barely touching this. See how that's starting to come in now? Kathy has Prismacolor, Premier, Crayola, and Faber-Castell. Use your Prismacolor, Kathy. Okay, see when I darkened this lightened up this channel, and this area up here so that these look like they're forward. And Kathy, do you have a printer copier? What about a knot in the bark? Yeah, well, I can do that too. I normally do. Carolyn, I just didn't this time. Everybody see now how I'm darkening this area? Carolyn wants me to put a knot in here, so we can go ahead and do that. Oh, you don't have color sheets. Okay. Your etching may not work as well on paper versus cardstock. What I would suggest is that you use cardstock and make your own stuff. How's that, Carolyn? Zoom out. Let me grab some water. Okay, now our tree is still a little bit gold. So now I'm going to go ahead and work up my brown tint a little more. And notice it now from the top of the tree to the bottom, what our difference is. And you might say, well, ILene, why did you put that gold on there in the first place? Well, because what that does is by putting on that base color of gold, it comes through my other colors that I'm putting on top of it. So when you put a base color on something, make sure that it's within the color range that you want. In other words, if I had put like a bright yellow on that, I would have not a plan. But this way the tree comes out a nice medium brown. And then you might say to me, well, ILene, how do I know what color to put on the bottom, you know, underneath? Well, that comes from testing and experimenting. So in other words, I wouldn't put a red underneath there. I might put a medium brown, a medium to a light brown. Zoom in. Carolyn, are you still with us? And then I'm going to do one more quick thing here, and then we're done. Kathy, cardstock works best. Rhonda, you still with us? Okay, quick cleanup, and then I'm going to show you one thing real quick. So, Kathy, what I want you to do is get some cardstock Doesn't have to have a picture on it. Etch some lines in it, and then start practicing with different colors from your colored pencils to see what works best. Medium colors are going to work the best for you. I'm just putting back the brown that I erased. Okay, one quick thing and then I'm done. Zoom out. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a dark brown. And I'm going to edge and shade in this tree. And remember, what happens when you bring a dark color to an edge is it starts making the piece look rounded, right? Dimensional. Zoom in. And the reason that that happens is because our minds read darker colors as shadow, and we tend to make our own images then. So I want you to see now how shading in now is going to give us dimension. Everybody see that? Yes, no? Look at the top of the tree. Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see now how that's starting to round off. Now, I'm going to put a little shading in here, a little more. And that's going to make this look depth and bring this part up higher. Zoom in. But I want you to see it from a distance. Zoom out. Make up your mind, ILene. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out. You do the hokey pokey and you turn it all about. Okay, everybody see how the top portion of this tree looks rounded. The bottom looks flat. That's what I want you to see. And notice with the slightly darker line here, it makes it look like there's a chunk out of this tree and that it's a knot. It's really important that you guys see this and understand it. And look at how now, brown cow, how now this whole tree is starting to get curvy, right? And you can very clearly see where I haven't done this. I really need feedback for those of you that are watching and that you understand this. It is so important that you get it. And again, when you edge something like your tree, I don't want to see stark lines. You've got to blend it in. All right, now, Rhonda says she's about to use the idea. Maddie says she likes the cool gray of the fox against the warm tone of the trees. I'm going to darken that just a little bit. Everybody see how dimensional this tree looks? All right, now look, I'm going to take my darker brown and I'm going to run it along the bottom of this tree. And a little bit up into the leaves. Zoom in. Now, let me show you one more thing also regarding this. That is looking really cool. I'm going to take, if you really want to be dramatic about this, but I'm going to say this again, no harsh lines. I'm going to take a little bit of black because I want to make this more dramatic still. And I'm going to put a little lining on this tree. Okay, Kathy sees the knot. Good. Zoom out. Zoom out. All right, let me bring you in just a little bit. Everybody see in this upper left-hand corner where I put basically an emphasis of black. And then I blend it in a little bit. And guys, this is where you walk that tightrope and where your coloring skills are really needing to come in. Because once you do this and you start this in black, you run the risk of showing just lines. So what I want you to see here is this tree is now really emphasized with just this hint of black. And I'm even bringing it out just a little bit to smudge it. Everybody see that? So I've got a good shading with the black, and then I'm bringing it in just I get lighter and lighter and lighter as I come in. And then down near the bottom, I'm just going to go ahead and smudge that in. Now, what this black is doing is that is really making your tree dramatic. And I'm spending an inordinate amount of time explaining this because I want you to see it. And I want you to understand the technique, and I want you to understand how this ends up looking. Okay, zoom out. Now, one not good part here is we've got this black down at the bottom and it's making this look outlined. So I'm going to take one of my lighter browns. Everybody see how that outline is too sharp on the bottom? Yes, no, maybe. And slightly in from my edge now, I'm going to blur that and ease it off. Now, I want you to keep in mind we don't have the leaves around this color, but when I looked at that in my screen, I went, ugh, too much. So the black is still there. I'm just toning it down just a little bit for this bottom part. Much better. Zoom out. And I know I am tired. I know I'm keeping you a little bit longer, guys, but this is so important that you see this and you understand it. Now, I'm taking my gold and I'm darkening up my knot just a little bit. Just because. And this is where you can play with stuff. This has turned out to be a great lesson. Yeah, I really am tired. All right, anybody have any questions? Questions, comments? What do you think? Can you do this? As long as you see what the end result should look like, you shouldn't have too much problem getting there. Play with it, practice, you'll screw it up. Practice some more, you'll probably screw that up too. Practice some more, boom, you've got a really cool looking piece. Okay? Now, my tree is a little more gold yet, but I'm not gonna do anything because I've got to get the rest of the stuff around here and we'll see how that comes out. And this is another point that I want to make to you. Right now, looking at this standalone, this tree is too gold, okay? But I'm not going to make any correction on it until I see how the rest of this looks, because it's going to impact this tree. And I need you to really understand that as well. Quit fussing on individual pieces like this where you go, oh, it's not the right color, it's not the right color, it's not the right color. Don't make that decision until you've colored up more parts of your piece. Okay? And you all see the importance of that. It may turn out this gold-ish is going to, well, it will influence the rest of this. And it'll come out a really neat piece. Okay? So I hope you like the tree. I hope you see the ideas on it. And let me show you one more thing real quick. I'm not going to color, I just want to show you side by side. Okay. Everybody see the difference? We went from something that was basically two parallel lines from this flat, uninteresting, to this. And again, you guys know that I'm not going to show you something if I don't think that you can do it. I'm not going to show it to you. Okay? So there's the side by side. And I want that to excite you, because this is what you guys are perfectly capable of doing, is to put neat things in your trees and make really neat lines in them. Yes, no, maybe. You guys good with this? I hope so. Okay, I'm going to call it an evening. I've got a candy bar waiting for me. And Rhonda, you're welcome. Yes, thank you so much, ILene. We love you. Don't let it throw you guys. Please. It's fun. And I love it. Zoom in. Okay guys, this is ILene Vick for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. Good night and enjoy your chocolate. You better believe it, Kathy. I love you guys. Guys, joyous, joyous coloring to you. Be kind to each other, please. Love on each other. And I know you guys already do that. And that's what I look for in my people in my group. If anybody gets snarky, I'm not going to let them stay in the group. I don't have time for that. And if I bounce one of your friends, I'm sorry, but I gotta look out for everybody. Okay, guys. Love ya. Take care. Have fun. Bye.